Hi everyone, this is Reshma Krishnamurthy here from Mums and Stories. And as part of our author interactions, today we have Lavanya Karthik. She's an illustrator, mom, she's an author, and particularly this is for the book Ninja Nani, the latest, the fourth one as of now in the series. Yes, yes, that's probably a better way to Jody Cross. All right. So, hi, Lavanya. Good evening. Welcome to Mums and Stories Facebook Live.
Hi, Reshma. Thank you for having me in Mums and Stories. Delighted to be here.
All right. So, I mean, the very first time the book came, one was, of course, much earlier that we happened to read of the Ninja Nani series. And why is this Ninja Nani? I mean, why did the grandma take the role? I mean, what made you think about it?
Okay. Well, actually, the whole idea was brewing in the back of my head for quite a while. And I really wanted to write the kind of book that would make me laugh, that had not just text, but pictures. It had all kinds of silly jokes. And I also wanted a book that had an unconventional superhero as the central character. And who better than a Nani who is, hiding in plain sight and who most people don't notice or tend to ignore, and to give her all these crazy zany powers, and that's how the whole thing began. And I would say that the characters kind of just jumped into my head after that. And Ninja Nani, it just has a nice ring to it, and it just took off from there. And the book pretty much wrote itself after that.
How wonderful. So, I mean, how's your childhood memories like? How's your grandmom, and was she an inspiration, or is she an inspiration for all this, or this was just, probably because as a children's author you want to do something, and at least from the child at home, he feels that, it is more fun, and he feels very less books are there, which make them laugh and smile. So he liked it. So how did this come on that front? I mean, the character.
Well, yes, I would say my grandmother and my mother, who is herself a Nani, were all inspirations. They weren't ninjas in the physical sense, but they were certainly warriors when it came to words. Because my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, had this razor sharp wit, and she never hesitated to use it on people. And and my mother had a gentler humor, but it was just as sharp, just as scathing. And so they were both word ninjas. And of course, there were other skills. Like my grandmother could win your heart over with the way she cooked, with the the different. And yeah, so she was also very skilled in all kinds of other arts. Uh, my mother was a big reader, and I think if I love books, it's because I grew up in a house filled with books, where we did nothing all day. Sometimes we just lie around reading books, and it was understood that that's what we did. We used to read. We used to read while we were eating. It was it was fine. No one stopped us. We read all day. We'd go to the cinema theater with a book in our hands. I think the person I am today is really because of my grandmothers and my mother.
So you really feel that, if parents need to encourage children to read books, it should be available for them. Parents themselves need to take an interest. Do you feel so?
Absolutely. I think a child, we are the principal influence on our kids. If they see us reading, enjoying books, reading for pleasure, not for education or not to learn something or to give an exam, I think that sense of pleasure in a book has to come from us. To be able to read everything, and to not have a bias for one kind of reading over the other. Encourage
Yes.
all kinds of readings, comics, manga. Read everything. I think right now there's this whole genre of fan fiction that's coming, and there's a lot of criticism of it. But I say go ahead and read fan fiction, because some of the best-selling authors of today were once teenage fanfic writers. So read everything. Read all the time.
So you've been an illustrator and an author. That's like a combination very few of them have. And it's such a huge plus point, I think. So were you an illustrator earlier, or were the school and, college life? or both of them, developed together the interest and you molded on that and developed on that? How is it?
Actually, I have no training in illustrating. I never intended to be an illustrator. It was always writing that I was
Okay.
focused on, and I was a writer, and I made absolutely no headway. I would send my stories out to publishers, and they would come back, and it just so happened that I had a few drawings which I just sent out with an with a manuscript.
So it's not been
And
easy way out, that means.
sorry.
It's not been an easy way, that means.
Oh,
Of
not at all. It's been an uphill climb, several years. But as I said, I never started out thinking of illustration. It was always writing. And yet, funnily, I was an illustrator before I was a published author. I illustrated for several publishers before I, got my first few books accepted.
All right. So, coming to the book, who's your favorite character, and if you can read a few lines from it?
Sure. Well, the series is now 4 books, and I have to confess that my favorite character in the entire series is not Ninja Nani or any of the humans. It's this dog called Pongo. Pongo
Okay.
will be, I mean, he rules. He sits right on top of the pile for me. And if you notice, I've sneakily increased his airtime in the books. It starts from a very brief glimpse of Pongo in the first book, but as you steadily go along, you realize that more and more characters from the background are making their presence felt. They get their own comics. They get their own. We get the chance to jump into their heads and see what's going on. And Pongo definitely is foremost among these. He started getting more and more page space with each book. So Pongo is definitely my favorite. And I would love to read. I would love to read something from the book. Just before that, if you're aware, okay, this is the first book, that's Ninja Nani and the Bumbling Burglars, which gives us, of course, the origin story of Ninja Nani and how she got her powers, which is again a very ridiculous fight that she has with her 9-year-old grandson Deepu, and they manage to somehow, there's this freak accident, and then they get zapped by the television set, and when everything comes back to normal, we realize that nothing's happened to Deepu, but his grandmother has now acquired the ninja powers of his favorite television cartoon character. And so all the madcap adventures of the series begin from that point. And in book 4, which is Ninja Nani and the Freaky Food Festival, the whole series is set in the town called Gadbad Nagar. And yes, and now there is this national sensation called Chef D, Chef Dal Makhni, who we meet in the very first book. And Chef D is, of course, he's the nation's darling, he's the nation's heartthrob, and he has this extremely popular TV show, a cooking show, which, of course, our Nani loves. And circumstances come about where he decides to visit the town where Ninja Nani and Deepu live. And meanwhile, there are all kinds of other capers going on. There are fake ninjas coming out of the woodwork. There is this little ladies' club which is trying to host the festival with their own share of troubles. Something very bizarre is happening to Nani herself. Of course, there's always something happening to her 9-year-old grandson and his classmates. So they are an integral part of each story. So each book is, of course, it's all these various capers and all these various mad adventures which come together finally in the last few chapters. And Ninja Nani and the Freaky Food Festival is no different. So yes, I'll be happy to. Again, of course, the book begins usually with comics, and
Yes.
yeah. So to begin, since the book begins with, let me just get this. The first time Nani disappeared was while watching her favorite TV show. Yeah, you know which one. Lights flashed, trumpets wailed. Across Gadbad Nagar, 1,000 hearts fluttered as the familiar opening bars of the theme song blared out of their TVs. It's Chef D time! The announcer shrieked to a background of jangly music, like a lot of spoons being shaken about in a sack. The music soared to a terrible din as a man with hair like a vanilla ice cream swirl and teeth like giant piano keys danced out of the wings onto a brightly lit stage. Greetings, my foodie family. Chef Gustav Aurobindo Dal Makhani threw his hands wide open, beaming at everyone in the studio. The live audience roared in welcome. Across Gadbadnagar, 1,000 sighs of "Ooh, so dashing" echoed. Welcome to my show. So there we have it. That's Chef D making his appearance.
Yes. There's a lot of Indian names or deliberate usage of that. It actually brings that kind of familiarity for kids, I guess. So that was very consciously done.
Yes,
Not just the
absolutely.
names, yeah, not just the names. Like Gadbad Nagar and all that.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think we live in a country with the most fascinating names. We have like a million languages to choose from, and we have all these phrases and colloquial expressions, and we have this absolute treasure when it comes to language. And I think it's a veritable playground for a writer to set a story in and just explore ways to have fun with words.
Okay. So you I don't know whether I didn't check with you. Do you have paper and pen? If you will be able to draw, how to?
Um, oh, I thought you had a lot more questions, so I was.
No, maybe if you want to share something specific, like from the first to the fourth series, probably
Mhm.
you can tell about it.
Sure, I can. I would love to tell you about that. Well, again, like I said, I keep getting frequently asked, what do children learn from this book? And
Okay.
is there are there are there any lessons that children can learn while reading these books? And I have to say, absolutely none, except that you can read a book and just enjoy it for the silliness of it, have foolish jokes, crazy characters, while also not really succumbing to the usual stereotypes. We can have fathers cooking in the kitchen without us making a big deal about it. uh,
Absolutely.
you can have a senior citizen who is also a ninja warrior, and B, there is another very 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 strong character called Mr. Chitness, who is 93 years old, but that does not stop him from being his own person and having his own agency of he heads out every night hunting aliens, not for the purpose of killing them or anything. Of course, he hunts out because he feels that they are definitely coming to the town, and someone needs to give them a proper map so that they don't get lost. That's pretty much all he does. But to be able to pick up these characters and just have a lot of fun with them. This is again a book with kids just being by themselves and having their own adventures without parents really being, central to the way the kind of choices they make. So you will have kids running out in the middle of the night and ending up in a museum and meeting bad guys. Again, not with no great violence in it, but more of a lot of fun elements. I like the fact that kids have agency in the books that they're in or in the books that they're reading. I think that's very
Yes.
important. And again, silly characters and being able to play with language. There are running jokes that go through the book from book one to book four. You'll
Yes.
find these running jokes. There are visual gags. There is this invisible narrator who pops in every now and then to just tell you to imagine something. Imagine you were a bird or imagine you were an alien, just to kind of detach yourself from the action that's happening. So it's a lot of fun for me because each book is this experiment with how I can drag out a certain joke or how I can change a perspective of some kind. So each book it's like an experiment in itself
This
with the same
particular
set of
book, in fact,
characters.
it focuses on cooking and dishes and everything. So, what's your favorite to eat? What's
To eat, I have no sweet tooth whatever, so I am a savory person. So I would have to say samosas.
okay? All right.
Samosas are my
Now,
thing.
okay. Now, for yeah, youngsters who love to write and
Hmm.
looking for a few tips,
Hmm.
to write books. It could be children's books or it could be anything else. What would you
Hmm.
tell them? Two to
I
three
would
tips.
the tips, of course, read widely, read everything, and read for pleasure, and keep writing. I think you just push your bounds by writing new stuff. Definitely write fan fiction if that is what you like. If you like comics, read comics because those are also narratives. Those also involve plots and characters and dramatic tension and humor. Read everything and keep
And
writing.
all right. And do they need to keep submitting to various, publishers or opportunities, look for opportunities and try it, or it doesn't go the easy way. Right, getting your book published and everything. So do they need to try more than a
I
couple of times?
well, that I perhaps some would, but again, a lot of kids just write for the pleasure of it. I think
Okay.
if publishing isn't really your, uh, I think first begin by exploring it and enjoying it, and
Okay.
you yourself usually will know when you feel something is ready to send out. But definitely, I think if a child wants to send their work out to publishers, one must encourage it. One must, because there is this great thrill and there's a high to seeing a book come out with your name on it, definitely. And I think everybody should deserves a chance to feel that thrill and that excitement. So
uh,
yes, of course. And in fact, I would say that it is quite easy now to you know online to send your books out, to send your manuscripts out anywhere in the world, not just Indian publishers. One just needs to research, get online, hunt for publishers. But there are lots and lots of opportunities for young writers and illustrators to
on
be published.
illustrations and everything, particularly, these are
Mm.
really like the comic and in black and white, but still they stand out. So that was consciously done, or you didn't want to bring in color.
No, I wanted to keep it black and white. I think it works. It's also easy, more economical to print. I would say rather than going full color. When you have a book of a certain size,
Okay.
it's just easier. And at the same time, I think just to be able to explore these various ways of showing, because I use a lot of silhouettes. For instance, there are a lot of black silhouettes against the white paper. Uh, it just black and white seemed the best way
Okay.
to illustrate it.
What's been the best feedback from young readers or anybody else for the book?
Oh, I think just the sight of a child falling over laughing with my book in their hand is it's like the uh, greatest reward. Which occasionally I get sent, or I get messages from parents saying, Lavanya, my kid hasn't stopped laughing. She's sitting with a book and she's cackling over it, and that's like it's like an award. That's the best. That's the most amazing, feedback. Just to be told that a child has enjoyed the book. In
All
fact, I
right.
also get occasionally I get grandparents writing in to tell me that they have enjoyed the book. They also fight over the TV with their grandchildren. So it sort of
That's
they
nice.
strikes a
Okay,
chord
if
with them.
anybody has any questions for Lavanya, please comment. I'll be able to put it across. Meanwhile, if it's possible to show us a little bit how to draw a particular character or something like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, sure,
Okay.
definitely. I'll just yeah. Is that visible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, well, I guess Ninja Nani would be the best character. I'm sorry, I'm left-handed, so my hands are over the. So I usually have these sessions where I teach kids how to draw my character, and I'm not sure if it's visible though. There, that's better. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
now it's visible.
I just like to show my characters a series of these shapes. So there's an oval, then there's another oval, and then the body can be pretty much any way you want it to. So that's something I do frequently in sessions with kids. So just to teach them that all you have to do is it's quite simple. It's just a series of curvy lines and an oval and a couple of triangles, and you can draw Ninja Nani. In fact, what I do
That's
frequently
nice.
is when we draw comics, I also say that I cheat a little, and the head of Nani, I just draw as a little cutout. So I draw this, yeah. So I encourage all the kids to draw something like this, and then all you have to do is place it on a piece of paper, and even if you're drawing stick figures, you can just practice with Nani. You can draw, all kinds of shapes, draw all kinds of crazy, poses. You can create your own ninja poses. So I also have kids doing the same technique. They use this cutout, the template of the Nani's head, and then I'm sent all kinds of crazy pictures, and Nani floating or Nani flying through the air, or she's in this complicated like a pretzel. So kids have a lot of fun. So I always encourage kids to and parents actually. Why should kids have all the fun? So I always encourage kids in sessions to make a cutout and then just go crazy, inventing ninja poses.
Awesome. Probably sometime we'll try and do a session with you on illustrations as well.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lavanya, for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being on Mountain Stories. Thanks, Reshma.
Thank you.